In Business Central, it's very easy to end up with a backlog of noise within your purchase orders. As part of the series, we've been talking about purchasing and creating purchase orders using demand and demand planners. And so, one of the things that will happen is you'll end up with basically your purchase orders list ends up with a bit of giggle, what we commonly refer to as garbage in, garbage out. And so, it's important that we stress the fact, the characteristic and behavior of your team to make sure that they are constantly cleaning and clearing the purchase order list. Now, one of the things to note is that when you delete a purchase order, if your settings are set up correctly, it should actually keep the purchase order in the archive. That's to do with the purchase and payables setup. And as you go right down to the bottom, it's got to do with archiving. And we say archive orders, archive return orders, and blanket orders, and always archive quotes. Okay. So this means if I go into an open order, as I can see here, I've got an order for one item. This order, technically speaking, I could make a change to it. Okay. I could change it or I could delete it. I can delete it. And once I've deleted it, if I go to archive, we've got archive purchase order. You're going to see my purchase order. You're going to see what I deleted was the updated PO. And then every time you update that PO, henceforth, it becomes a version number of the same purchase order, which keeps an archive of it. Now, this means that if you end up being in a situation where you look at a purchase order and it's not actually going to collect, you're not going to actually receive it, we need to clear it out by either canceling the order, or what we should be doing is talking to the vendor and saying, when are we expecting to actually get this? And then we should be setting the expected receipt date. Okay. Now, being that this was ordered and it's not going to arrive, it might be 2 months out. You can actually change that. And that's actually going to affect how the orders are rolling within the system. Okay. It's going to affect multiple different things. It affects the planning worksheet. It stops it throwing emergencies. So if your planning dates are in the past, you got a problem. You need to get to a point where you can discuss and say, hey, how do I resolve this? So we've got a lot of open orders here. I'm going to go back to the beginning and take a quick look. So I've got one open here, quantity to receive, quantity to invoice. Let's just say on this item that we receive 3 4 units. Okay. And I'm just going to use this as an example. And I'm going to post and receive an invoice that. And so this purchase order is short. And it's in a situation where we've got items that are showing as on back order, but then it just gets a little bit stale in time, right? And so what we'll want to be doing is like, firstly, adjusting the dates if we're going to keep it. Alternatively, if you're never going to get the remaining items on this, the way to close it out is we go in, we delete the purchase order. Now, I can't do that while it's released. I'm going to reopen, and then I just hit delete. Yes. Okay, so clearing your purchase orders, clearing your backlog of noise from the queue is hygiene.